Hello dear students, welcome to this second lecture on digestive system of pila globosa. In previous lecture, we studied the alimentary canal of digestive system and different associated parts of the digestive system. Today, we are going to deal with the remaining part of the digestive system. So after completing today's lecture, we should understand different types of digestive glands in pila globosa. We should understand the structure and functions of these digestive glands, and we should know the food and feeding mechanism as well as digestion in pila. So let's begin with the digestive glands. So we know that in every animal there are, or rather in most of the animals, you see the presence of these digestive glands which aid in the mechanism of digestion. So they secrete different type of enzymes which are required for the process of digestion. So let's see what are the different types of digestive glands which are present in pila globosa. So there are four important types of digestive glands which are present. The first one known as buccal glands. The second type of gland is called as esophageal pouches. Third gland are known as salivary glands, and the fourth glands are known as digestive gland. They are also referred by another name like hepatopancreas or commonly as liver. So let's study each one of them. So the first type, that is buccal glands. Now these buccal glands are present in the buccal cavity. So we have already seen this position of buccal cavity. Near the mouth region you have this buccal cavity present, and then these are basically the paired glands. So they are the pair of elongated glands situated in the roof of buccal cavity. And this each gland, so out of this paired gland, each gland is divided by a longitudinal furrow or depression and a number of transverse grooves. Okay, so by furrows and grooves it is further subdivided, and they are said to secrete accessory digestive juices. Okay, so certain digestive juices which are essential in the process of digestion, they are secreted by these buccal glands. Okay, so you should remember this. Then we come to the second type of digestive glands, which are also known by the name esophageal pouches. So if we see the shape of these esophageal pouches, they are also paired type of structures. They are rounded in shape, cream colored, and they lie beneath the salivary glands. Okay. So in the next slide, we'll see the exact position of these esophageal pouches. And so there are two esophageal pouches, one on either side of the esophagus. Okay, so they are present on the either side of esophagus in the form of small pouches. Now the exact function of these esophageal pouches is not yet known, but this said to serve for the temporary storage of the food, and they probably secrete the digestive enzymes. Okay, so these are the two functions of the esophageal pouches, that they are the temporary storage of the incoming food and they secrete some digestive enzyme which aid in the process of digestion. So we can summarize, they are paired structures, rounded cream colored structures present round the esophagus. On either side you have two pouches, and they serve for the temporary storage of food as well as secrete some important digestive enzymes. Okay, now we come to the third and the most important type of digestive gland, which is known as salivary gland. Now if we see the structure of the salivary gland, they are also paired structures. So they are the pair of white colored branching masses present behind the buccal mass on the side of your esophagus. So similar to your esophageal pouches, they are also present on the side of esophagus over the esophageal pouches. Okay, so on top of the esophageal pouches, you see the presence of this salivary gland. So you can say that they partially cover the esophagus from the outer side. Now if you see the shape, they are irregular in shape and contain number of lobules or like many compartments. Then a salivary duct extends from each of these salivary glands to open into the buccal cavity between the dorsal buccal glands. So we know that these glands have the presence of ducts. So through these ducts their secretions are released. So the ducts of these salivary glands, they are extended into the buccal cavity. Now we have seen the position they are present in the esophageal cavities or near the esophagus, partially covering the esophagus. The function of salivary glands, they secrete mucus and starch splitting enzyme, which is responsible for digestion of starch. So we know that starch is nothing but a carbohydrate, that is polysaccharide. So since majority of the portion of food consists of starch and cellulose in pila, it requires the digestion of starch, and that is carried out by the enzymes present in the salivary glands, or rather the mucus of this salivary gland. Also, the second function of this mucus is it helps in the lubrication of radula, and that thus it help in the smooth transport of the food. Okay, because the food particle should easily move in the alimentary canal, and that is being helped with the help of presence of this mucus, which is secreted by the salivary glands. Okay, so here in this picture we can see the position of these buccal glands, which are present somewhere here. Then you have these yellow colored structures on either side of the esophagus. These yellow structures are nothing but esophageal pouches, and on top of this you can see these whitish structures, which are nothing but your salivary glands. Okay, now we move on to the fourth important type of a gland present in pila globosa, that is known as digestive gland, or it is also commonly referred to as liver or hepatopancreas. Yes, so that this digestive gland, often referred by the common name as liver or hepatopancreas. Now what is the shape of this gland? It is larger, conically shaped, spirally coiled. So here you can see it is spirally coiled structure, brownish to dirty green in color, and it is very soft in appearance. Now it occupies the major part of the visceral mass. We know that this visceral mass is a coiled structure, so it occupies the major part of this visceral mass. Now it is triangular plate-like structure or cone-shaped structure with a very convex outer margin. So you can see the outer margin is convex and more or less flattened inner surface. Okay. Okay, now there are two main ducts. Okay, there are two ducts which arise from the two lobes of the digestive gland. Okay, so it is also bilobed structure, and from each lobe there arises one duct from this digestive gland or liver. Now these ducts unite just before reaching the stomach to open into a common aperture. Okay, now the enzymes or whatever secretions which are produced by the digestive gland, they are being transferred or given to the stomach. So the ducts which are coming from these digestive gland, two ducts they are arising, they will unite at a place just before reaching into the stomach. Okay, in this diagram you can see this liver or digestive gland or hepatopancreas. So this digestive gland is said to be made up of number of fine tubules which are bounded by a connective tissue, and these smaller finer tubules further unite to form larger tubules, and which then terminate into main ducts, so two ducts, and these ducts again combine together before reaching to the stomach. So I can summarize here: the digestive gland is first of all made up of finer tubules which are bounded by connective tissue. Then these finer tubules, they will converge into the larger tubules, and these larger tubules will give rise to the two ducts, and these two ducts will then connect together while joining to the stomach. Now the terminal part of this each smaller tubule is glandular, has presence of glands, and it is called by the name as alveolus, and the rest of the tubule is ciliated in appearance or bearing the cilia for the easy movement of the digestive enzymes. Okay, now in this digestive gland there are three types of cells present. The first type of cells are called as secretory cells, which secrete digestive juices. Second type of cells are called as intracellular digesting cells. These cells will perform intracellular digestion. And third type of cells, those are known as calcium cells. These cells will store the calcium phosphate which is required in the process of digestion. Okay, so three type of cells are present in hepatopancreas, that is secretory cells secreting digestive juices, intracellular digesting cells which perform intracellular digestion. So we are going to see that in this phyla globosa there is a dual type of digestion, that is intracellular as well as extracellular digestion. So, and the third type of cell, that is calcium cells which are storing calcium phosphate. Okay, now we move on to the last part of our today's discussion, that is food and feeding of the phyla. So we know that phyla is a herbivorous animal. It feeds mainly on succulent aquatic plants like Pistia, Vallisneria and other aquatic herbs and weeds. Sometimes it also feed on dead animal bodies. So if the primary food is unavailable, it can switch onto the dead animal bodies. Now, how the ingestion of or intake of food takes place. So we have seen that there are different types of muscles which are present in phyla, like sphincter muscle, protractor muscle, retractor muscles. So by the action of sphincter and protractor muscles of the buccal mass, and we have seen there are two jaws. So with the help of these muscles and two jaws, the food is taken inside the mouth cavity. So the two jaws move and open and cut up the leaves of the aquatic plants. Now the important organ that we have studied is radula. It is responsible for this cutting activity. So it will cut the leaves into smaller pieces. There are two sets of muscle which are attached to this radula, that is protractor and retractor muscle, which move forward and backward. So with the help of these two set of muscle, this cutting movement is taking place. Also we have seen that there are presence of those 7 teeth in rows. So those teeth plays a very important role. So the pieces of leaves are get caught by these teeth and thrown backwards into the buccal cavity. So this is the purpose of these teeth, that they are carried to the buccal cavity. So mastication of the food is carried out. The food is cut and masticated in the buccal cavity. So mastication is nothing but breaking down into smaller pieces. Now starts the actual digestion process of the food. So the first activity starts in the buccal cavity. So the food first receives the secretion of the salivary glands. And since the salivary glands have their ducts, through these ducts the secretions are released and they mixes with the food. Then the secretion of the salivary glands contain starch splitting enzyme which converts starch into simple sugars, that is polysaccharide to monosaccharides. Now the next digestion starts in the stomach. The food is digested by the secretion of digestive gland or liver. So this includes some secretions like cellulose breaking enzyme that dissolves cellulose walls of the cell. So this process of breaking down cellulose takes place in the resorptive type of cells of these hepatopancreas or liver, and it liberates the protoplasmic content of this cellulosic material. So we know that the plants, they have their cell wall made up of cellulose. So breakdown of cellulose is very important, and that is being carried out by the enzymes which are present in this secretion of digestive gland or liver. So these digestive juices produced by the secretory cells of pancreas, hepatopancreas or liver will digest the food in the stomach. Further digestion takes place. So the partially digested food particles will be taken by the cells of hepatopancreas, so which are partially digested by the your salivary glands, and the digestion is then completed in this hepatopancreas or liver. So this type of digestion is called as intracellular digestion. So in phyla, in nutshell, we can say that both extracellular and intracellular digestion takes place. The extracellular digestion takes place in the stomach, whereas intracellular digestion occurs in the digestive gland. Finally, the resorptive cells of the gland digest the cellular portion. We have seen that these resorptive cells are responsible for the digestion of cellulose. Now this digested food is absorbed by the digestive gland and the intestine. Okay, because after digestion you requires the absorption of this digested food material. So that takes place in the intestine, and from intestine it diffuses into the blood. So from digestive gland and intestine, the absorbed food material is then released into the blood, and then blood will supply it to the other body parts. Now the remaining undigested food is collected in the rectum and it finally passes through the anus in branchial chamber. Okay, so this also takes place in a serial manner. So once this undigested food material is collected and it is passed on, it is finally given out of the body through the water current through the right nostril lobe, or we have also referred to as pseudopypodium. Okay, so this is the final mechanism where food is absorbed and the undigested food is given out of the body through the anus and the with the help of water current. So this intracellular digestion, which is taking place in the digestive gland, as well as the absorption taking place with the help of digestive gland, is the characteristic of the phylum Mollusca. You don't find this in any other phylum. And after absorption of digested food takes place in this digestive gland, and remaining digestion or absorption takes place in the intestine, undigested food is given out of the anus. Okay, and we have also seen that the water current plays an important role in the giving out this undigested food out of the body. So with this, we conclude today's lecture on digestive glands in Phyla globosa, food and feeding and digestion in Phyla globosa. So I thank you for your patience hearing.